Hey everyone, it's Chef Tom and welcome to my workbench. I'm a retro computer enthusiast. I'm by no means an expert at this stuff. But it's Tandy and I want to talk about something. The TRS-80 Model 100 portable computer. The TRS-80 Model 100 portable computer launched in 1983, and this 24K version launched at $999. It sports an 8-bit 80C85 CMOS chip running at 2.4 MHz, 32K of ROM, and came in an 8 or 24K RAM option, but was expandable to 32. It has an 8x40 LCD display, can do upper and lower ASCII characters, and even graphics. For connections, it has a parallel printer interface and an RS-232C serial communications port that can run up to 19.2 baud. All this, and you get 20 hours of life out of 4 AA batteries. And you wouldn't lose your data in between because it has spare NiCad battery to back up your files. Before I turn this on, I want to get into it, make sure that there's no leaking capacitors or any components that might have had problems before I apply power to it and potentially destroy it forever. I picked this up at an estate sale last summer. I really have no idea what kind of condition it's in. Since the LCD and the keys are on the opposite side, I had to put down the towel so I don't damage them on my desk. In case you're curious, this is actually my computer desk where you usually see the TV for like when I do the Commodore 128 stuff, because I got a new 3D printer and it's taking up my workbench right now and I didn't feel like moving it. Under this flap, we have a option ROM socket, not populated, and access to the entire system bus, which I don't know if anything was ever built that used that. I think it's like the one on the bottom of the first-gen NESs, where they had the intention of having an expansion, and there really never was one. I mean, there were a couple, but not any in wide use ever. So far, so good. We've got the battery panel open, and I don't see any corrosion, and I think that's a good thing.
So I was kind of expected it to open up more like a Commodore 64.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so this flips open this way. So this is just the LCD panel. That is the LED. That says buzzer, so that goes to the buzzer. Let's see, what have we got in here? Well, we've got this is the system bus. Okay, so this exposes the whole system bus on the outside. This is the option RAM. We saw that from the back. Each of these should be 8K RAM. You can see here, this is soldered right into the board just like this. These two are the same chip, just dropped in. There's an option RAM slot. That would give me 32K if I could fill that up. For the moment, the capacitors look good. I'm not going to mess with them. And hot crystal. Got our basic ROM. Interesting. I really don't know much about this computer.
Editing Tom here. So at first I was a little confused with the chips, but I went and looked everything up. On the left is the 80C85 processor. In the middle is the UART for serial communications. On the right is the motherboard I/O control, and the one going vertically is the software ROM.
Alright, will this come out of the board? Probably not, because all of the headers are built in. We'll have to... Curious of what's on the bottom of this board. Take this off. It's just a ribbon cable. And all I wanted to see, which you can see over here, is what's on the back of the board, which is, well,
nothing Absolutely nothing!
Of course, now I have to remember to figure out where all these little bits and bobs were.
Well, since everything looks okay, I guess we'll just put it back together and close it up.
It's actually a really tight fit to get in here, but it works.
And I did notice that I hooked up
This
that
goes back
ribbon cable
here.
incorrectly when I looked at the footage, so I did fix it before I turned it on the first time.
So that's it. It's really actually a pretty straightforward piece of hardware. So what exactly can you do with this thing now in 2022? Well, honestly, not much of anything. It's just cool vintage tech.
I'm running 6 volts center negative for my benchtop power supply. Fingers crossed. And it works. Thank God.
So, right now, obviously I just plugged it in. There's no battery in it or anything. Thinks it's January 1st, 1900. It's a Sunday, and we're 30 seconds after midnight. To correct that, we can come in here. A time equals... it's hour, minute, second, 24 hours. So 19, 20, 19, 27, 0, because I don't care how many seconds it is. Time string. String equals 19, 27, whoa. Okay. And we can do date string equals 09/29/22. Yes, I am just finishing this up at the end of Septandy. And day string equals, and it's a 3-letter day code, HU. And when we go back to the main menu, we should see September 29th, 1922 at 7:27 and 35 seconds. Knows it's a Thursday. Of course, this was never meant to be used after Y2K, but it's not broken. It just only uses a 2-digit date code. There are people who have made modified ROMs to have it say 2022, and I might do that later on down the line. I might do the swapped ROM for that. But if we come in here and say, oh, I want to use the address book, adrs.do not found. Well, that's easy enough. Looking through the manual, it says if you go into text here, adrs, it'll automatically add the .do, and then leave the file empty and exit out. Now I can do address book stuff. I don't know how. I'm sure there's more to it than what I'm looking at, but that's fine. My cat seems to be highly interested in this. The schedule requires a file called note.do. So again, we'll go into the text editor and create a file called note. Leave it blank and exit. You'd think that there would just be a, hey, this file doesn't exist, do you want to create it button? But nope. If I open the scheduler, now it'll let me come in here and I can try and add stuff. Meet with Bob at 1300. Find Bob. I don't know. Go back to the menu. Now, schedule does use note.do, which is just a text file, so... But it's still empty. I'm doing something wrong, and I gotta read through the manual for that. But one of the things that made this so popular was that this was a big deal for journalists. This was particularly useful tool to journalists.
You don't need to suffer through me typing very slowly on this keyboard.
Modem. If I hit F8 to go back to the menu, it will save that. The built-in modem uses the telecom program. So obviously, I don't know how any of this stuff works. But I want to figure out how to use this disk drive. And I've put the Tandy utility disk in here. But I don't know how to use it.
Now kids, do not try this at home. I'm going to try and run both 6-volt devices off of one benchtop power supply. The amperage shouldn't be the issue. It's the janky wiring that I would stay away from.
Okay, now I've never actually known if this worked. Like, I literally just plugged it in for the first time a minute ago. It is drawing power. I can see that on my voltage meter, but who knows. I did retype the entire program. Oh! It's doing something. I don't know if this is what it's supposed to be doing, but it's doing something. Could access the drive. It's a start.
Alright, so my portable disk drive, I have no idea if it works or not. It obviously doesn't work right out of the box, because it starts spinning the drive and then doesn't do anything else. And it is in bootstrap mode, so I don't know what to do with it. It may never have worked. Like I said, I got this in an estate sale, so it may never have worked to start with. But the TRS-80 does work, and hopefully I can find some external way to get data into it. I know there's like an Android app, but you need like a bunch of connectors to make it work. I don't have any of that stuff. So I'll try and find something like that, or maybe there's like an IEC to SD to IEC kind of variant for the TRS-80 that's out there. I really haven't dug into this much. I was just super excited to get to make the video on the TRS-80. So, not knowing if that drive works or not, I can't really do much else with it other than type in what I can type in on it. But it will be a good little note-taking machine, and I'm kind of excited about that. As far as in the future, like I said, I want to get external storage. I want to replace the memory battery with something that I'm not worried about. That NiCad hasn't leaked yet, amazingly, but I want to get in there and replace it with something that I know is not going to leak. Until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and press that subscribe button in the center of the screen. I've also got a couple other videos I think you might enjoy.
God, I'm burping a lot.